Good morning. This meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors is now called to order. And we want to ask County Council, do we have any additions to the agenda?
Chair, members of the board, good morning. There are no additions to your agenda.
Okay. At this time, we'll read closed session into the agenda and
Sounds good. Thank you, Chair. On your closed session today is your conference with labor negotiators. Your agency designated representatives are Roman Noriega, Joel Bourget, and Susan Carter. The employer organizations are all units and unrepresented employees, all classifications excluding elected officials. And that's under Government Code Section 54957.6. There's an existing litigation matter, Madera Community Hospital, a U.S. Bankruptcy Court Eastern District case 23-10457A11, and that's under Government Code 54956.9 subsection D1. And the last is anticipated litigation, deciding whether to initiate litigation. One case, and that's under Government Code 54956.9. Thank you.
okay, any public comment on this item? If not, we'll retire to closed session. We're back from closed session and we're going to continue our business this morning. Reconvening county council, is there anything to report from closed session at this point?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from your closed session, but there are still agenda items to discuss when you call for it.
Okay. And this morning, do you have anyone to open and close in memory of? No one at this point? Okay, that's kind of a good thing. We welcome Pastor Roger Leach from Valley West Christian, and he's going to lead us in the invocation. And I'll ask Rusty, our Ag Commissioner, if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you today that we can come rejoicing and be glad because this is the day that you have made. And within our hearts, we rejoice with that. We thank you for life. We thank you for the breath. Lord, we ask your blessing today upon this Madera County Board of Supervisors meeting as we continue to do work and do results for the County of Madera. We ask that you give each and every one of our supervisors just real wisdom, real fairness, and real honor in doing everything today in your name. Lord, we give you thanks today. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanted to, I was thinking about the prayer breakfast the other day, and what a phenomenal speaker we had. And I don't know how many got to attend that, but it was remarkable. And what a great morning. So I'm still ruminating on the goings on at that meeting. It was great. You have a lot of the community there. It was really fantastic meeting. Anyway.
Can I say that
Yeah.
After the prayer breakfast is that the ministers went out and people within the town, and we went through 23 sites in our community and prayed all different locations all over our community and for the National Day of Prayer. And then we also had a seniors event in between of those sites. And so we had another great time together as well. So it was a fantastic day, the National Day of Prayer.
Yeah.
We got to minister to a lot of people, and thank you all for coming, being a part of it. It was a great day. It
I
was.
think it was one of the better ones I've ever been to. Just, I'm trying to think of the name of the speaker in my mind.
Wayne Francis.
Yes.
Yes.
And what a life experience that man has had.
Yes.
And he drew from it and gave us all some great thoughts to think
Yes.
about. So
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so let's go to public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take any action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Good morning.
Hello and good morning. Tracy Kennedy, your Madera County Treasurer Tax Collector. As you'll find out, Jordan, that I bring on our property tax collection statistics after every collection period, after December 10th and after April 10th. This summarizes after April 10th. So it basically tells you how many walk-in customers we had. Now the statistics on this sheet are just for the last 10 days. Now, the last 10 days, which would be April 1st through April 10th, but that was only 6 business days. So anyway, walk-in customers, 411. Total number of constituents coming to the counter, 795 for cash payments. Anyway, it's a lot to come in just those 6. That's 100 or so a day. Also, the dollar amount, total dollar amount collected for the second installment was 103 million. 103 million, so 95% of what we sent out was collected for the second installment. It shows credit cards, And e-checks, e-checks are free. So you can pay your taxes over the phone or online using a check, and it's free. There's no charge. Online bank checks, of course, the old fashioned way, putting a check in your stub in the envelope and sending it into us is something that still people do. We get thousands of those. Core TAC, what we call core TAC is through your mortgages. So if you are paying your property taxes in your mortgage, they will send us their check and then we post it from there. One of the other thing is too, a few outstanding items that we have yet is the groundwater sustainability fee refunds that we're doing. We still have 14 or 15 checks that have been sent out to the different taxpayers and they have not cashed them, totaling to about $240,000. So we're in the process of trying to find those people so we can get this all wrapped up by the end of May. And then also after the 10th was balanced and sent to the auditor's office, we sent out a reminder notices. So we sent out approximately 4,400 reminder notices with a total of representing about $9 million. So we will be, that's why we get a lot of phone calls and everybody does. So, like I said, walk-in payments, March and April, about 800. Telephone calls, about 5,000 in the last month before property tax collections. And then also there's a new program that you might see if you go online. It's called Cal HFA. It's a grant program. And they will pay up to $20,000 of your back taxes and help you pay your property taxes. It's through the state of California. That's that. Also coming on, starting on May 13th is our annual tax defaulted land sale, property tax defaulted land. So you can go on our website, follow the prompts to online defaulted property tax sale. And you can see we started out with 105 parcels and we have approximately 18 left that will go up for auction. So anyway, are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
And as usual, if anybody has any questions about anything that we put on the agenda, please feel free to call me, write me, text me, however you want to get a hold of me. I can always answer a question if you just have one or two
Great job.
questions. Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else to speak to the board? Jared, come.
Good
Yeah,
morning,
Jared.
Chair and members of the board. Jared with Public Works. Just want to share a couple announcements this morning with you and the public. We do have our annual household hazardous waste event scheduled for the mountain area on June 24th. That'll be from 8 to 10 at the Yosemite High School campus as usual. So we've got information being sent out and distributed for that event. Also wanted to just make you aware, most of you know, but also you and the public aware of our study that we are doing for our solid waste program right now. Encourage people to go to madcosolidwastestudy.com and complete that information, get information about that study that's going on and complete the survey. And lastly, wanted to let you know that if you didn't already know, the repairs for the Avenue 26 damage that we incurred from the storm have been completed. Actually, were completed a couple of weeks ago. And so that road is now reopened out to Eastman Lake there. And we're working very diligently on getting the others underway and get those repairs done. So working with FEMA and our CalUS partners to get those things going. So
Congratulations on all you accomplished.
Yeah.
Hey, you got one question?
Yeah, just for clarification, we have a hazardous waste here in the valley as well, pickup. event.
So currently, we don't necessarily hold events here, but we do have the Fermi landfill, which it's free to take hazardous waste to landfill on Saturdays.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Anyone online?
None online.
If not, consent calendar. The items of consideration from supervisors.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item O. I just have a comment.
Okay,
Hey,
go
yes,
ahead.
I'm ready. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Jared. And this program, the county payment management program, to me is one of the greatest things that has happened. To me, it's taken a lot of the politics, or hopefully all of the politics, out of what roads get repaired. And it's based on very objective information as far as the condition of the road, how often the road is used, and so forth. So
Right.
I think it's a great item. I'm not sure, unfortunately, and I don't have any answers, but I unfortunately, the public really doesn't know how we go about determining what roads need to be repaired. And I'm just throwing it out there. It'd be great if we could figure out a way to educate the public in terms of what gets done, because, you get people from, the eastern part of the county says all the money is spent here and vice versa. And really, this program was set up to take all that out of the equation. So if there was, again, I'm just throwing it out there, if there's some way to really get that information out there, I'm all ears, and I know that there's a lot of information geniuses out there that could do that. So thank you, Jared.
Yeah, good morning, Supervisor Jared with Public Works again. Absolutely, you're 100% right. There is a lot of educating and understanding of this and how this happens and all that goes into it that is quite complex. NCE, the consultant who has helped us with this, has done a great job of helping us gather the data and collect that and get it into a system where we can look at that data and make those decisions, as you mentioned. I will tell you that we've got Jason Chandler in our shop who's been working with the system a lot and developing different ways to graphically display this information and work on ways to make more public facing opportunities for people to get this information and look at what we have in the system and how we're making these decisions. And then, with this contract and then this extension, we'll be able to reevaluate all of our roads and see where we're at and how we're doing with that. Also in consideration of funding sources, which is, are very complex and change quite frequently. So hopefully, once we get through this next phase of this, we'll have a lot of more information. Of course, we'll bring that all back and present it to the board and make it available to the public. But yeah, every opportunity I get, I try to send the last report that we did to folks to help them give an opportunity to read and understand the complexities of how this works and the challenges we have, obviously, for being able to fund as much as we really need to fund. So
Very good. Thank you.
I think keeping it simple. I know that it's a complex problem, but sometimes just bullet points of understandable phraseology for the general public is really necessary. It's like I used to, when I would ask my dad to help me with math, he would teach me, he'd talk about how to, it's like asking somebody the time and them telling you how to build a clock. So there's a good happy medium there, and keeping things simple. I think it's really important.
yeah, absolutely. Again, we're trying to, be able to put presentation or we call them dashboards of it together that explain some of this data in a way that is easily understandable.
Right.
Break it down by district, by road type, and help people to see,
Right.
where things are in terms of conditions and what work is being done to improve.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate all you do. Thank you very, very much. We have one commenter online. Go ahead, Andrea. Hello. Hello. Not getting any response there. Is she trying?
She is, just one moment.
Technical difficulties. Let's take a brief 5-minute recess for. They've got it. That's fine. So can you repeat for me what you just said?
Sure. Andrea Uribe has offered her comment via Zoom on the comment portion. So it's on the record. We will submit it to the record.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on with the agenda. Any further comments on the consent calendar? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Motion made. Second. Let's vote.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamha.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Chairman Rogers. Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0.
Yeah. Supervisor McCauley is not here today due to duties, county duties in other areas. So he texted me this morning and just couldn't do it all. So we get that. Okay, we'll move on to the discussion items. Item 6A.
Item 6A, Board of Supervisors Department, District Number 3, recognition of Madtown Robotics Team 1323 World Champions. Woohoo!
That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So I've been involved with the robotics since, back in 2015, I think was the first time I went to a robotics competition. I think that year your team won nationals, if I'm not mistaken, or shortly thereafter, somewhere in there, won the nationals. And what an achievement. This is just phenomenal to make a world championship.
Thank you, Mr.
Comment?
Chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is absolutely a great achievement by this team. And just kind of wanted to go through a little bit about how they got there, our robotics team 1323. So they started off with the Central Valley Regional in Fresno. They won 15 matches. And then I believe in match number 16 or 17, there was a defeat. The team said, how can this happen? We're world champions. We're carrying on this legacy. What's going on here? And you know what? They did a gut check. They said, you know what? We're not a mid-range, mediocre school district like Clovis or something like that. We're Madera. We've got a legacy. We've got, people that have laid down there in blood, sweat, and tears and led the way. And we've got to pick it up and keep going. So that's exactly what they did. They went 16-0 at the Monterey Bay Regional and Seaside. They went 20-0 at the Houston World Championship in Houston. It was 3 days, over 600 teams, and that's where the World Championship was achieved. A combined record of 52-1 and undefeated in the last 36 matches. So that's, I think, worthy again of applause. It's a team that took number one out of 270 teams in California. Number one out of 2,687 teams in the US, and number one in 3,294 teams worldwide. Again, I'm not sure that we can all take this in. I mean, you know, I'm reading statistics, but if we really, really, really sat down and thought about it, it's remarkable. And it's not the first time that we've been world champions. So it's just beyond imagination. This team was the recipients of the Innovation and Control Award, as well as the Industrial Design Award sponsored by General Motors. So with that, I'd love to have Coach Vernon say a few words up at the podium. I'd like to have the team join us down here in the front of the supervisors. And after a few words and introductions and so forth, we'll even though we're not worthy, we'll join you for a picture. So, so thank you so much. So go ahead and join us right here.
Good morning. Hopefully you all can hear me. My name is Coach Vern Valmonte. RC is our field coach right there. I'm the advisor at school. And as you can see, this is our drive team here up in front of you guys. These young men and women worked their hearts out this year. There's a lot of words, or there's no words I can say that can describe how much effort and work that these individuals put in. It was just amazing to see them work. And as far as how they drove and how they participated in this competition, it was unlike anything we've seen in a while. So going 20-0 in a world championship is remarkable. You know, winning the first world championship in 2019 was awesome. These guys put so much effort in. They wanted it. You can see it in their eyes. They tasted it, and they did everything they needed to get that second world championship. So.
Well, very good. Thank you so much. Do we have a remote mic or something? Because I think that with our world champions, each one should be allowed to introduce themselves. I'm sure they want to. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. I just thought of the occasion, you know, again, it's we don't have world champions in front of us every day.
Cody Wilkerson.
Areli Venegas.
Matthew Garcia.
Gabriel Alcantara.
Xavier Cifuentes.
Nathaniel Perez.
RC.
Vern Valmonte. I do want to say that our drive team, go ahead and raise your hand. We have driver Xavier Cifuentes, and we have co-driver Matthew Garcia. Gabriel Alcantara was our human field player. And if you've ever watched one of our competitions, this young man can toss one of those cubes and make it land the furthest away, but still inside the little area that was there for us to pick up the game elements. Programmer extraordinaire, Nathaniel. And then we have our two pit crew who did their job cleaning and making sure everything was where it needed to be, repairing the robot. Manufacturing extraordinaire Cody down at the end, Mr. Wilkerson, and then Areli, who did a lot of our business outreach as well. These young individuals is the reason we were able to do what we did and achieve another world championship. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'd like to ask my colleagues to join me as we present a certificate, a plaque of appreciation and recognition.
I'm sure with what you have learned and achieved as a team in this experience, if you apply this to your lives, you'll be very, very, very successful as you move through life. And when you think about world championship, doing something like that to be the best in the world at anything, we laud athletes who achieve that dream of being in a World Series or a Super Bowl or a World Cup, all of those different things. And that was a physical action. This is a mental action. And wow, I think I'd rather have to be the best brain in the world than to be the most physical person in the world. So I think you've topped them all. I just kind of think you're at the top of the heap here on this one. I would encourage you to not let this go by in your life as just an experience, as just an opportunity, but I would use it and exploit it and make sure that you continue to do well in your life. And this is just a beginning because you're young. You're so young. You have many, many years ahead of yourselves to achieve more than you've already done. So let this be just the beginning. And encourage you to read the story of Jose Hernandez, who was an astronaut. You probably, I see young men shaking their head there. So that he's a great example of a guy who had everything working against him and achieved everything he set out in his life to do. And so it starts with establishing goals, doesn't it? Establish some goals and accomplish those goals. You've done something as a result of establishing a goal. You can continue to do that in your life. I commend you highly. Let's give them one more round. I think they're. Wow, super. I'll be thinking about this one for a while. That's great. Okay. Anybody else have any public comment on this item? Okay, thank you for being here. We'll look forward to having you back for your next World Championship. No pressure
No
there.
pressure.
Okay, item 6B.
6B, County Administration Department, hospital closure update and related actions. Staff update on Madera Community Hospital closure and bankruptcy proceedings. Discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Force 10 Partners LLC for various healthcare consulting services and authorize the chairman to sign. Discussion and direction to staff to earmark $300,000 in American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, for a separate study to identify the healthcare services needs of the mountain communities and to determine the sustainable methods for delivering these services in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe next time the robotics people can bring the robot too.
Yeah, well, that'd be cool.
That would be fun. So tough act to follow. So this item has three items as the clerk read into the record. The first is a brief update related to the Madera Community Hospital. The hospital continues to work its way through bankruptcy as the debtor in possession of the hospital. They're kind of caught between having to continue to determine if there's anyone out there who is a feasible partner to reopen the facility as some level of healthcare facility, and having to work with the creditor committee in the bankruptcy court to satisfy the debts that are still in play there. So the county has engaged in doing some fact finding. We have previously worked with Force 10 through a purchasing agent agreement, as well as with bankruptcy counsel to communicate back and forth with the greater group within the bankruptcy court setting. Things that have come up recently, at least in terms of things that have been mentioned in the public, include the licensing for the hospital is due for renewal on the 26th of May. There's been some discussions back and forth on that. The county has reached out to CDPH and wants to determine through them if it's possible to set that process back a little bit. The license is currently in suspense, and There are a number of scenarios under which keeping the license in suspense or renewing it are much more positive than letting it go. So we have reached out to CDPH. We've also reached out to some of our elected officials who have spoken with other folks in Sacramento, and we feel like we're working towards a solution that will prevent anyone from having to forward that funding on May 26th. However, should it need to be paid by the 26th, we will come back to the board on the 16th with an item to set the money aside to be able to do that. Because the bottom line is, if it's going to reopen as an acute care hospital, that licensing is very important. And I think that that would be a reasonable commitment on behalf of the county to pay for that licensing. In regards to Force 10, Joel has some figures that he'll share with you in terms of how the deliverables we have broken up with them are situated. You will note that this is not a contract with it for a set amount. This is a fee for service contract, and Joel will fill you in here on how we've broken it into 3 different areas.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, of the 3 major deliverables that we're asking for STEM to do in your board's authority to amend the contract to accommodate these deliverables. For the first one, which is essentially an evaluation of the asset and running business case scenarios for the feasibility of an entity acquiring the asset and turning it around and converting it into some hospital healthcare facility. Force 10 estimates that deliverable to cost between $55,000 to $67,000. The second item, which is various hospital reopening scenarios, which includes break-even analysis or better result scenarios on various service lines and various payer mix assumptions. This is essentially equivalent to the Kaufman Hall study that was discussed a month ago. The estimated cost for that is between $265,000 to $275,000. And then the final deliverable would be the identifying the capital money need for a opening of a hospital, assuming that hospital operator is identified. That portion of the work is estimated to be between $86,000 to $97,000. For all 3 deliverables, the range is estimated to be between $400,000 to $440,000. We would like to note, though, that since it's fee for service, if at any point that we get to this, that it seems like there is no business case to be made, that there is no commitment to do the other portions. So your board has flexibility, continue or not continue, depending on these milestones.
So with that, it would seem that both from reviewing the legislation that's now sitting in front of the governor related to funding a revolving fund for distressed hospitals, from our own desire to be able to present to the board what would be sustainable at the MCH campus going into the future, and based on very preliminary discussions we've had with any providers, everyone is looking for a data package, which would have to be provided through the hospital to determine all the costs and all the background things related to payer mix, pay rates, how slow or how fast payments come in, which it's much different than a regular business. It's not net 30, it's could be months and months. If not, like in the case of the FEMA reimbursement owed the hospital, it could be years. So everyone's interested in the data. And of course, those who are involved in the bankruptcy proceedings on the creditor side are interested in the data too. So we have tried to communicate through the bankruptcy counsel with the court that, we're pleased to have them try to lump that together. So we don't want them to have to do it twice. And we do realize it's a significant undertaking, but once again, we don't have the data, we can't make any recommendations. So the last item here is a set aside. Item 3 in the recommended actions is a set aside from ARPA money to identify and study healthcare services in the mountain communities to see if there's a more sustainable method that we can enter into in that area. And with that, Joel and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any comment from the public? Any questions from the public? Anyone online?
We have Andrea again, but she's unable to mute.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Sorry about the last comment. I'll just like to put on that I did submit my comment that I had prepared and written on the chat on Zoom. If y'all are interested on reading that later, or if y'all would like to comment, or if I could still comment on that, I'd really appreciate that. But in regards to this, good morning, supervisors. This is Andrea Uribe commenting on behalf of Leadership Council as a policy advocate for Madera County. And I'm commenting on this item to raise comments from residents that residents from Lavinia had made, who have been consistent in that ARPA funds set aside for the community should not be divested for the hospital. While they agree and are aware of the benefits of the hospital, they also uphold the needs of their local and immediate community. They fear seeing the funds that they have fought so hard to go to the hospital with no guarantee that the hospital will remain open or that the funds will return to address the needs within their own community. All right, thank you.
Your comment. Any other public comment?
I have a comment, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So I just want to thank Jay and Joel for the information and for clarifying the different earmarks, as that was my concern when reading the item, that there wasn't a cap, but getting those figures is helpful, and it's helpful to the public so that we see if we can move forward. And in addition, obtaining the data is going to be absolutely vital. So thank you for putting that on the record and for clarifying that. And with that, I'm ready to make a motion.
I'd like to have one more comment.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jay and staff, for going out and getting this in the manner in which it was presented in stages, because it seems like we're at the table. We're the ones that are at the table trying to get the data that is necessary in order to figure out the feasibility of this hospital and what the future actually looks like. So we're putting our money where our mouth is and doing what is necessary to get this hospital reopened, if that is an option, which we certainly hope that it is. And so I just wanted to put that comment out there, and with that, I'm ready to go forward.
Good comment. I thank you. All right, we'll hear the
I'll
motion.
move to approve items A1, 2, and 3.
I'll second.
Motion made in second. Let's vote.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamha.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, for the hard work. By the way, it just didn't happen overnight. Comment was made that last meeting, I believe it was, that we're not giving out information a lot. There's continual work going on, continual. It's been nonstop. And the fact that we didn't have anything to report was not an indication of what was not being done. So it is a long, arduous process, and there's a lot involved in it, a lot of moving parts. It's difficult to get information as we go. But thank you for that. Okay, next item, 6C.
6C, County Administration Department, discussion and consideration of approval of taking action, steps to prevent and reduce homelessness in Madera County.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrative Office. Item 6C, sorry, let me backtrack. On May 2nd, which is last Tuesday, the Strategic Plan Steering Committee had presented the proposed plan to reduce and prevent homelessness in Madera County. We are bringing it back to your board for formal approval and adoption with taking the feedback from the last meeting. We did make a change on the title. We had changed it to steps to prevent and reduce homelessness in Madera County based on your board's feedback from last week. And with that, staff and Patty are available for any questions from your board or the public.
Mis-
Good with that?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Go
And
ahead.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Joel, and everybody for comments and the meeting last week. In regards to my comments from last week, they were focused on the report itself. And there's a, few changes I suggested and a few other things I actually talked to Maddie about. But for the most part, I believe it's a really good plan and people have worked hard to get where we are. But what I believe was a big fail, and it was a fail on my part, was to not recognize the people behind the plan and the people who are going to be implementing the plan. When we concluded that item last week, I could feel the mood in the room. It wasn't good. It was, I felt a feeling of defeat. The people who had come forward presenting this particular plan, I felt there are friends, there are staff, and there was a great deal of enthusiasm. We had people from the rescue mission, Reverend Al, et cetera, et cetera. But when we left that particular item, it wasn't there. And so, and then I confirmed later on that there was definitely based on feedback and so forth, a feeling of defeat. So that was my fail. And I just like to then at this point recognize again the people behind this plan. They are rock stars in my mind. We've got people from CAPMC, public health, behavioral health, social services, the rescue mission, workforce investment. I mean, you name it, the people who went behind and have been working on this plan. They're people who day in and day out are just out there working so hard in one of the most difficult departments, areas that can possibly be. There's a lot of times that we have projects in the county and there's a start date and completion date, and we can go back and congratulate ourselves and talk about, hey, isn't this great? But when I look at this subject of homelessness, many times our team can do things like that, but there's also many defeats, and they just keep going in spite of that. Because when you build a building, as long as it's built with integrity in the structure, it's going to stay there a long time. But unfortunately, with human beings, you can do a lot, and 6 months down the road, everything's looking good, and then at month 7, people relapse. And again, our homelessness team, they deal with that. So I'd just like to offer my apology for anything that I may have done to or what I did. I shouldn't say may have done, or what I did to discourage the team. And what I'd like to do is to again pledge my support as a policymaker and part of the team to address homelessness. And I'd love to double down, and I'd love to get reports once our game plan is up and running, perhaps even on a quarterly basis, to help elevate and to educate us as far as the progress on homelessness is going. So for that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think I can own a part of that for not being so, not being as positive as I could have been for all of that. So I'll own part of that too. And, it's such a big issue and such an impacting issue. It can be very discouraging. And I know that people work in it, they can get easily discouraged. So human nature is really sometimes tough to work with, and especially this issue. And it's obviously not such an easy solve, because if it was easy, we would have had it solved by now, because we're Americans. We work hard at solving problems and we usually are successful. But this one's a tough one. And we've got to face it head on. And I believe it's going to be largely successful. It may never be ended, but it'll be largely successful. And that's the key right there is big success and hard work. And starts with these goals. So thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Any comments or questions from the public?
Mr. Chair, I just would like to thank you for your comments today and your support. I also would like to again thank Jay and Joel for supporting this mission. It is a difficult task, but you know, we are engaged. All of
Yeah,
us are
yeah.
engaged. And wherever we can find, I'm going to say it publicly, but I pray, just give us a little small project and
Yeah.
let us make that work.
Yeah.
And then let's get us another small project.
Right.
And now that I live in this community, I drive around this community and
Right.
I pray for little projects,
There you go.
you know, and they're coming to light.
There you go.
They're coming to light. And I will be back quarterly to share those success stories with you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. That'll lift us all up. Thank you, Maddie, for your positive attitude. That's awesome. If there's no other further questions, I'll hear
I'll move to approve.
okay,
I'll second.
motion made and second. Let's vote.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh,
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes,
Vote passes 4-0.
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, 6D.
6D, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division, discussion and direction by action of Board of Supervisors, if desired, related to seeking consultant services to assist with preparing a comprehensive fee study.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Freeber, Chief of Development Services here this morning. So this item, we intend or would like to go out with a request for qualifications and a request for proposals to look at not only third floor, but, you know, in essence, development related fees. That'll be the priority and the primary aspects. And get a consultant services on board to ensure that we are charging fair and reasonable rates and that we, you know, our fees are in line with the industry and the cost of the services provided, and that we're not charging too much and that we're charging enough to capture the cost of the services to the taxpayer. So with that, available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for Matt? Just had one quick comment. I did speak with Supervisor McCauley this morning on this item. And he called me, his interest was that on parcel maps, and I think he had that discussion with you, that on parcel maps, we consider holding a closer line on that, close or complete. And that is to aid in helping the smaller developer, especially for housing. I think there's maybe a nexus between that and dividing up large lots just for families, people trying to give land to their children to build a home, that kind of thing. I think there's a nexus for that, and just your thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Supervisor McCauley had mentioned that. The one thing I do want to make sure is clear to the public and the board, we're not looking at impact fees
Right.
as a part. That wasn't the intent there. And I do think
We did a recent.
we can certainly, we did recent updates of our capital facility fee and our road impact fee.
Right.
However, we can certainly look at options between parcel map impact fee collections and subdivision fees and bring that forward as a part of this final action. Again, this would be simply, we'd be going out with an RFQ, RFP. That contract, right in the scope of work would come back before the Board of Supervisors for adoption,
Right.
before that work commenced on that. So
We'll have plenty of opportunity to discuss it as well. Great.
Matt, in 2017, how much did it cost us to update it?
In 2017, that was a minor amendment and was done internally. We looked at some additional fee costs for, in essence, collecting some small dollar amounts to maintain our computer system and our permit tracking system. So the last time a true comprehensive study that was done, I believe is a 2009, 2010 date. And it was, a couple $100,000 effort at that point. And again, we'll get that. And that's why we want to go through a competitive bidding process, obviously, to get the best costs for that. And we'll analyze the budget impacts as we bring that forward at a later date.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Go
just
ahead.
like to say, I think it's fee studies, good policy. I think
Right.
is a, for the taxpayers, they need to know that they're not subsidizing somebody else's plans or whatever they're doing, and we're not overcharging, undercharging, and that we're properly accounting for expenses. So it's good policy.
Agreed. Any comment from the public on this item? If not, bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made in second. Let's vote.
Supervisor Wilma,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0.
Okay, 6E.
Assessors Department, second reading to adopt an ordinance amending section 3.47.010 of Title III of the Madera County Code Revenue and Finance pertaining to low-value property assessments.
We've had this item before us before. What's your pleasure? The second reading.
Move to approve.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made in second. Let's vote.
Supervisor.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's take that out to the public, please. Any public comment? None. Bringing it back to the board. Let's vote.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamha.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0.
Mr. Assessor, go ahead.
Brett Frazier, Madera County Assessor, on behalf of the taxpayers of Madera County. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. 6F.
6F, Public Works Department, Engineering Services Division, introduction of an ordinance of the Board of Supervisors of Madera County, amending section 10.36.010 of chapter 10.36 of Madera County Code by adding subsections Q and R thereto related to parking restrictions in alleys and along the east side of Canal Street within the East Side Acres community in the county of Madera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Treber, Development Services again. So this item was born out of some community efforts working with the homeowners in the community of East Side Acres. They'd have some current issues with folks blocking and parking within these alleyways and locations, and causing some concerns and issues for access to their infrastructure out there when they have to have repairs there. So this would set a no parking ordinance and restriction. Again, it would be back, if it's the board's purview to move forward on this item, it would be back next week for the final action on that, and then become effective 30 days following that
Very
item.
good. Any comments from the public? Now I'll bring it back to the board. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made, and let's vote.
Chairman Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamha.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you. 6, let's see, 7. Pending legislation. Any pending legislation?
The only thing we have, Chairman, is we have a request from our CRC to provide them some information on how SB 525 would affect the county economically. That's the bill that's requesting that all new healthcare employees receive a minimum wage of $25 an hour. And it would also move the minimum pay for any salaried employees in healthcare settings to $104,000 a year. So we'll be referring that to staff to try to come up with some information to forward to Mr. Blacklock so they know how it affects our county. And I think the other rural counties are forwarding their information as well.
That also IHSS?
Not to my understanding, this is for working in healthcare facilities. However, it is fairly broad and covers almost anyone who works in a healthcare facility, not
Okay.
just the healthcare workers.
Okay, thank you. All right, Any other pending legislation? If that's it? Okay, supervisor and staff reports, Supervisor Poitras.
Nothing to report.
And I have nothing to report other than the prayer breakfast, which I already reported on. Go ahead, Supervisor Wamhoff.
On Sunday and attended a ag fundraiser at the Ma Hills House. It was a good event and well attended, and I think they raised $70,000 for scholarships. So
Very nice.
it was good to see those young folks out there as well, and seeing the actual recipients of those, and how most of those folks are staying in the community after they graduate college, and providing that benefit back to their own community here. So
That's nice. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Just want to make you aware that I've been meeting with the different departments, getting some budget briefings in preparation for the budgets coming up. So if you hear of that, Jay, it's a friendly meeting, and it's just to do a check-in with each of the departments. So I met with Rusty from the Ag Commissioner's office yesterday. Great update. We've met with quite a few already. And so we're doing that up until June. And so they've been really successful and productive, eye-opening. And then just that it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So happy Mother's Day to everyone who's fortunate enough to still have their moms. And to those who don't, a big hug to you. It'll be 16 years that I lost my parents from the day before Mother's Day. So it's always a tough time of year. So I understand it's a tough time of year for a lot of folks out there, but big hugs to them and happy Mother's Day to those who celebrate.
Thank you for that comment. And we do love our moms, always and forever. CAO?
We did have one incident Friday where a contractor working on behalf of the city of Madera struck the county's water main in Avenue 13. Required boil water notices to go out. I believe Matt also advised me yesterday afternoon that they struck the same main again. So I don't know, Matt, do you want to give any additional on that? But if you had constituents who were having concerns about boil water notices, it was totally related to that construction strike, nothing related to the water system itself.
Like lightning striking in the same place twice.
I can only speculate.
Yes, so as CEO Barney had mentioned, we did have a situation out on Friday in the community of Parkwood. Our crews, with assistance from the entity that clipped that line, worked through that night, got the community back into water just a little before midnight on Friday. So they were with working with our state, right? The state water board, they direct that. We have to follow every protocol and procedure they demand for the boil notices. So in working with them, we were able to reduce the amount because the majority of the community was kept pressure and had that. It was, about 26 to 30 homes that fronted where that main was on 13 that were the brunt of that. And then yesterday we did have another situation with that same contractor with the main out there. So the community is in water though. We've got them back up. So, our guys are working hard and getting it done. So
Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate the report.
excuse me, Matt, are we getting any cost recovery? Our crews being out there?
absolutely, sir. We will be preparing that invoice and sending it to the appropriate parties.
Did you take their blindfold off for the second time they struck the water main?
Yeah, I mean, you got gas, yes.
Yeah,
there's-
operating by braille, I think.
Yeah, there's some issues there, but
Wow.
yes, we will be capturing all the costs to that district. As we said, it's not a general fund cost today, but it is a cost to that water district, and we will be capturing those fees associated with this cost.
Attorney?
No report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And clerk?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. So we do have one item to continue discussions within closed session. So we'll adjourn to closed session and report back out of closed session if there's anything additional to report. Thank you. Okay, we return from closed session 11:45. County Council, we have anything to report out of closed session?
Chairman, there is no reportable action from closed session.
Okay, with that, this meeting is adjourned.